Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast, Welcome to Livingston, where we invite local businesses, people, and organizations in to talk about what they are giving to our community. My name is Don Patella.
And I'm Angela Patella, and we're with the Patella Group Real Estate Professionals. As realtors and brokerage owners, we bring valuable insight into the local market and community every week.
Thanks for listening, and welcome to Livingston. Hello and welcome, everybody. This is the Welcome to Livingston podcast, and my name is Don Patella.
And I'm Angela Patella, and we're with the Patella Group Real Estate Professionals.
Yes, and today's episode of the Welcome to Livingston podcast is brought to you by our valued sponsor, Jim Paquette with Lake Michigan Credit Union. He is a trusted mortgage lender who has lived and worked in our community for many years. Jim Paquette is dedicated to helping our neighbors achieve their homeownership dreams and is proud to support the local businesses that make our area special. Now let's dive into the stories of the incredible entrepreneur we are featuring today.
Yeah, we're very excited. We have Cody Powers with a lot of energetic...
Yes, he's with Caps Artistry, owner and founder of Caps Artistry, and we're just so happy to have you in today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, so, where we wanted to get started today, so a lot of people out there may not have heard of you. So who are you and what is Caps Artistry?
Well, my name's Cody Powers, again, owner of Caps Artistry. I got a wife, Jessica, 2 little boys, and Caps Artistry, I build custom furniture. So it kind of started out as a decor thing on the side and then blew up and decided I'm going to go for this and quit my day job and became full-time with this last year in July of 23. And it's just rolling, man. Just now I strictly do furniture, so no more decor. So it's been a lot of fun.
And looking online and seeing your website and such, I mean, it's custom furniture, but it's a bit more than that because like the type of custom furniture, when people hear custom furniture, I mean, what is it specifically that you're building? Because I really like what you have out there.
So it's kind of a variety of things. My focus, again, because I haven't been doing it for, a long time as a business, but, mainly dining tables, conference tables. I got a countertop job. I do mantles. I'm making a really cool conference table right now that I'll be putting out next week. Maybe I'll share about that in a little bit. Kind of keeping that one on the down low till it's out. Yep. And then the big thing, like my goal that I'd really like to see is we turning trees into furniture. So I had a lady reach out to me and was like, hey, I have this walnut tree in our backyard. I don't want to know what to do with it, but it's dropping walnuts on all of our house, our camper, yada, da, da, da. Do you want it? And she didn't want to just throw it in the firewood. So I'm like, oh, really, what am I going to do here? So I talked to a couple friends of mine, and Jordan Hasbrook from Terra Shape Tree Service, he came out and cut it down for me and got it to my house. And I got a couple buddies came over, and we got it milled, and that's going to be her dining table next year after it's dry. And that's kind of I think my long-term goal is I'd really like to do more of that. Right. It's just a lot involved and a lot of money involved, and you can't get there overnight.
Right. And is that the Sentimental Tree Service then?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, and for out there, I mean, we found that as just really unique, didn't you?
Yes. Well, like I just wish that that this was available years ago, because when I was growing up, my family had this gigantic willow tree in the front yard. How long, the age of it.
You couldn't, 2 people couldn't wrap themselves around it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was huge.
So gigantic. Like, I think not quite 200 years old when we counted all the rings and whatnot. But unfortunately, what had happened is with the storm, there was one of the biggest, branches ended up, I don't know if it got hit by lightning but it snapped and the tree was done for. So it had to be cut off, and the guys cutting the trees did cut like a cross section, which was neat because then we could see how old. But then my dad never did anything with it, and it just sort of rotted and left and all that. And it would have been fantastic as a table or something, or know.
Well, people do it all the time. I mean, that's where all furniture comes from. But the difference is people don't really talk about it, and your average person doesn't overly realize. They're like, oh, you turned a tree into a table. And to me, it's kind of like, well, yeah, that's where it comes
That's
from.
where they come- right.
But
Yeah.
the whole process is just really neat. I love doing it. So it's just
Right.
a passion of mine. So
And to be
Right.
local
Yeah.
and
But
love that.
but to be able to say this was, our willow tree out front, or this was grandma's oak tree, and to turn that into like, so if you have like a big tree like that, you might be able to get a couple pieces out of it, right?
oh yeah, no, for sure. You'll get quite a bit. It depends on the tree though. Like we had a elm tree at my house, and probably back in June, we cut it down because it was dead. It was dying. But we had an elm tree, so we got a picture of me and my family, and then another picture of it cut down, and then now it's drying, and then it has to go into a kiln here, probably like December-ish, depending on the moisture content. That's going to go into a kiln and suck all that moisture out. And that will be our furniture. I'm going to keep that. Anything I build out of that will go strictly into our house. But for example, it had what's called a wind check, and basically there was this, I don't even really know how to describe that well, but part of the wood isn't usable. When we were milling it, all of a sudden there was so much stress, it just cracked like 6 foot across the log. And so, I can do epoxy work and things, but just kind of was a bummer, but that's just part of it.
You just never know.
You don't know.
Right. There's a lot more that goes into the process than people think then. From the time a tree is cut down till it can be used for furniture is what, a year and a half?
It depends. Like they say, technically for air drying, it's 1 inch per year. So the tree comes down, you have a tree service do that. And again, like I'm working my way to have a mill and everything. It's just a slow process. But then I have a guy that comes out, 315 milling, Scott. He comes out and does a phenomenal job. And then he will, so take live edge, for example. So if this is a tree, a lot of people aren't familiar with live edge, like what it is. I'll use this water bottle if that's okay.
Sure.
And so they lay it down like this and they mill it just like that, just straight down. And that's what live edge is, but I lost my train of thought for a minute.
Oh, that's all right.
But there's a lot involved.
Right.
Back to your question. So 1 inch per year. So if he mills it at like 1 inch thick, which is too really thin to do anything like for my standards, then you should expect that to sit for at least 1 year. Or if it's 2 inches thick, then you should let that sit for at least 2 years before working with it. But that's why you go in the kiln. You speed it up, but you can't just throw it right in the kiln or else you'll just pull all that moisture out too quick. And then your slab's just going to shrivel and go crazy on you. So you don't want to do that. It's like a slow air dry process, and then it goes in the kiln.
Wow.
And the kiln prevents like bugs and, it kills all bugs in it. Because if you just air dry, well, you might have carpenter ants inside your wood that you didn't know, and something happens. I don't know, they get out and they could just come out.
Yeah,
There you go.
that'd be awful.
There's a lot involved, and I'm learning myself. So, but it's a blast.
Wow.
Sounds really fun. Now, what's the most popular request that you get from people?
I get a lot of like little coffee tables, things like that, which is a fair price point for people. Like dining tables are more on the higher end side, so it just depends on everyone's budget. Because again, I'm handcrafted, custom. I try to source as much as I can here in the U.S. Like I have a metal fabricator, Cody Highfield with Trinity Fabworks, and he's just fantastic. But he lives 2 miles away from me, and he does all my metal work.
Cool.
But it just depends on the budget. It depends on what clients want and what their needs are, because it can get very expensive. And I'm trying to get away from the cheaper side of things, just because the quality. So
Right.
But yeah.
So, it's like truly custom piece then.
Yeah.
Each piece is individual, and you're sitting down with the client and talking to them about like what they're looking for, or do you give them examples, or how does that work?
Yeah, so some people know exactly what they are looking for, and they're like, oh, I want this table, I want white oak or ash or whatever, and that makes it really easy. But other times, like, people don't know, and you got to try to like work with them and decide what's, analyze the situation, analyze the room, and work with their budget, get, kind of understand what they're at. And unfortunately, a lot of people think like, oh, well, if my budget's $5,000 and you're going to charge me that. But it's like, that's not the case. It's just, I want to get you the best product that I can within your ballpark range, because there's so many different variables that can play, that I can build you a $2,000 table or a $10,000 table. It just depends on really what you want. And I want to make sure the customer, understands, you're already spending a lot of money. It just depends on what you want,
Right. You may as well get exactly what it is that you want then.
Within reason, of course.
Within reason,
yeah.
What's the best kind of wood to use?
I can't even answer that. There's so many different kinds out there, like I can tell you walnut and white oak are a lot more expensive. They are compared to like ash or maple and cherry, but as far as best wood to use, I think that's kind of a preference. Oak likes to splinter. It's really hard. So you kind of got to be careful in that. Walnut's hard, but it's not nearly as hard as oak. Mm-hmm. So there's I can't answer that one for you.
Okay. Okay.
It's a little bit more about what they're looking for then, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Spoken like a true professional, because you can work with all of it, right?
I'm trying.
Yep. So what are some of the, I guess, more unique pieces you've designed then?
All right, so I can talk about this, but I can't show you any pictures. Right now, I am building I had a customer reach out to me. He owns 52 Blue Wealth Management, and he reached out to me. He was like, hey, I want a table that is shaped like a whale. And I'm like, I don't really know how the hell I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out for you. Right now we're making this table that's shaped like a whale. My metal fabricator has done an amazing job with the base. He's got, that shaped like a whale and like the tail of a whale. Sorry. So, but
cool.
I don't want to go into too much detail about that yet, but that is by far the coolest one I've done. There was a lot of thinking involved before just diving into this.
Right.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
And I think I saw, like, you had a little video of trying to do some cutting on that on your Facebook page, right?
Yes. I have been slowly putting progress videos on that. And, I'm just not putting the ending until we deliver to the customer, which is should be next week.
Wonderful.
So I just, don't want to give up the surprise until he sees it.
Yeah.
Understandably so, of course.
And I would say to people out there, we'll talk about how to get to the different accounts. It'll be in the show notes and such to go to the social media. But check out his Facebook page, because I love being able to see like behind the scenes type, some of the work you're doing and such, to see that you're the one that's doing it and it's custom and such.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of guys that do it. I'm definitely not the only woodworker, but the thing is, a lot of people we're more introverts. A year ago, I would have never done a podcast like this. I didn't use social media, anything like that. And, I kind of got into some networking groups and realized, I don't have to live in this little shell of 3 people for the rest of my life. And it's actually nice, hearing other stories and entrepreneur stories and people that push you and give you all sorts, complete different industry, but we're helping each other, and
exactly.
Or even you might not be a woodworker, and I'm not a real estate agent, but you have lots of business ideas and just the grind,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you don't have to just do it all yourself. And that's it's a lot I've learned in the past year about networking. So
Yeah. Well, and I think being like-minded, right?
Yeah.
And the positivity, or open-minded in that regard too.
For sure.
So it makes it really fun. Just, I think, as we grow as people too, and it's always interesting to find more little nuggets in our community that people don't even know about, to be able to share with our listeners.
Right.
There is a lot I have learned about not only my business, but myself in the past years since I started networking and working with other people. It was, a year ago was more, I don't know if I can do that. And now I'm kind of, my mindset is like, I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to figure that out.
Yeah, I love it.
So,
Yeah.
And because you're surrounding yourself by empowering people that are pushing you, instead of just, like I said, being in this closed little box and you don't think you can get out of that box. You can. You just have to actually take these little steps, like today, like me being here today and, you guys, starting your own real estate group.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you don't, I just feel everything is temporary. And if you're not out there constantly trying, you're just going to be stuck in your permanent position. And that's kind of where you're at.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And speaking of real estate, one of the things I think that our clients, a lot of people would be interested in knowing is the fact that you're doing those mantles and you're doing countertops. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are going in and they're renovating their home and they're looking for they're looking for that unique piece to be able to put into it. So how does, like, if someone's like, hey, I'm remodeling my kitchen, or hey, I have this old fireplace and I'm looking for something new, how does that process work with you in terms of getting a countertop or a mantle designed?
So the first thing is kind of, understanding their timeline. Because, if you say, hey, I need this, I have no countertops and I need countertops by next week, I'm not your guy. Order them on Wayfair. I'm sorry, I'm not your guy. Like, that takes a lot of time. And so, like, I like to work with them, understand, like, their issues. And I like to say, well, what's wrong with your current countertop, or what's wrong with your current mantle, or, dining table, whatever it might be. Because if I have an idea of what's wrong with it, it also helps me understand how to solve their issue and give them, the product. If they don't like the dark color, okay, well, we're going to go with something light. Or, they don't like live edge, then we'll do more of dimensional. It just depends on, what they want. And it's normally my process is I always like to set up a phone call. And I kind of can't give you any type of estimates until we do that, and I look at it like, if you're not willing to set up a phone call with me, then I'm probably not the right person for you, because, I'm serious about this and I expect you to be serious. I've had a lot of people like, oh, I don't want to have a phone call. Just give me a price at a countertop. I'm like,
Goodness.
I know at first I used to, and I've learned over the past year that was bad mistakes and I've lost money, and don't do that. So really understand the job.
Right.
Understand the job, understand what they want, understand their timeline and their budget, and see how I can help them. And see, like, some people, again, they might want white oak, but their budget's lower. And I'm like, hey, let's do ash. Ash is a lot cheaper. It still has a beautiful grain pattern. It's not. So you just might have to sell them on a, unless they're set on something, then it's hard to change their mind, because I can't change the price of wood.
Right. But at least you can be consultative and you're very knowledgeable about
so that's
the types of woods.
Like, there's a lot we can do there. And I have reached out to several realtors actually, and kind of been like, hey, if you sell a home and your client needs furniture, send them my way. Anyone listening out there, and we can work on a commission thing or whatever, but so far everyone loves the idea. That's as far as it gets. But the same thing, I plan to, like, walk into business offices and, see what we can do at a conference table. 'Cause this is where you sit. This is where you sign papers. This is everything. And, back to, like, the whale table, a big thing, and I'm not going to quote him here, but he wants people to have a good experience when walking into his office, instead of walking into, like, 4 white walls, a piece of particle board table. And he wants that, to have them be excited to be there, to have that trust in them and be like, wow, this guy has a nice table. And, well, if you're a financial guy, well, you have a nice table, you can probably afford this, or whatever it might be.
Right.
It's like a doctor's office. Nobody wants to go to these things. Like, you're excited to go to buy a house, but you're not that excited to, like, sign all the papers. It's nerve-wracking.
Right.
Right.
But certainly sometimes people that we talk to, we talk it through, and sometimes moving doesn't make the most sense for them, and they just want to spruce things up. And, I feel like granite is one of those things everybody has been kind of bored with now, but everybody wants something special about their house. And I think having those custom furniture pieces, or whether it's a custom mantle or something that stands out that nobody else has, because it was made for them by you.
And that's 100% true. Yeah. It was made for you, it was made for you. And the majority of the time, especially if it's live edge wood, I'm able to purchase it around here in Livingston County, and it's locally sourced, some other stuff, but normally it's all at least within Michigan or nearby. So it just kind of depends, at least I'm told it depends what it is.
Yeah.
So,
but what a great thing for your house, to be able to have.
Yeah.
And and not look like just everybody else's. We go through houses sometimes, I'm like, oh, this house looks just like the last one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if someone's listening and they're outside of Southeast Michigan or outside of the state of Michigan, you're able to help them out as well, right?
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, before, like I've shipped nothing large, but I've shipped like coffee tables. I just shipped one to California. You know, I've shipped things, little small decor to like Hawaii. And so I've done the small shipping. I just kind of got out of that game, the decor, and stuck here. But yeah, if someone needs something, I'd definitely love to work with them, see what we can do, you know, and if I'm the right fit, awesome. If I'm not, that's okay. Like maybe I can send them someone else who is, you know. So
Yeah.
I know a few people around the country that's, you know, a woodworker, furniture builder. So if, you know, they're closer to them, use them, you know, it just depends on what we can do for one another. So
See, that's so much like the culture of Livingston County. Like we all kind of help each other out.
yeah,
And I think that's great.
I'd rather, instead of being the top dog, I'd rather you and I help each other out and we're both doing well instead of me being up top and you're at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
Honest to goodness.
Yeah,
Yes. We're not
so-
like, you know, as people are stepping on each other on the way up the ladder. That doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense.
Right. 100%.
Can we dive into a little bit more about the Sentimental tree service? Because as realtors, we actually have run into situations where someone did have, you know, a special event or something where they've planted a tree and now they're going to move. And what do they do? And a lot of times the tree is excluded in the sale of the home and they go through and they dig up the tree and they take it with them to their next home and so forth. But, you know, this hasn't even occurred to me in terms of that this could be another option.
Right. Or the fact of, on top of that, you know, you have a tree and it gets struck by lightning, or the tree is starting to die, or it gets knocked over. How quickly
Oh, yeah.
do
time
they
frame.
have to decide to do something? Like, you know, can it be a year later, 2 years later? I mean, it's, you know, if you're salvaging a tree, you want to essentially work on it quickly. I don't even know.
Right. There's so many variables that are involved. If you take a small tree, no, there's nothing I can really do. You know, it's got to be at least a decent sized tree because, you know, if you have like a 10-inch tree, well, by the time you mill it and everything, and then there has like sapwood on the outside, which like, you know, you have your bark and then you have sapwood, which is the white, and then you have your heartwood. Well, you might only have a few inches. It just depends on what you have. To answer that, you want to try to get it off the ground. You know, you want to try to get logs off the ground and you're not picking them up. So, you know, you can roll them. Like I have just a few logs laying at my house that are up on 4x4s. You know, you can try prying them up and it's not an easy thing. But the main reason to get them off the ground is you don't want them to start rotting, you know, obviously. But it's not, depending on the size of the tree and the quality of the tree, it's not going to completely destroy the tree, but depends on the length of time. If it sat there on some 4x4s or something for 3-4 years, it's not going to be a problem, you know. So, and then again, like I said, that's a lengthy process. You got to get someone if it has fallen. You got to. There's guys that do on-site sawmilling, so they'll go to your place, mill it. You can sticker it there, stack it, do their thing, or they'll bring it back to their place, which is the easiest, you know. But just depends on if you have the property and the knowledge to do it kind of yourself, you know. So, but it's definitely a minimum of probably, for me at least, a minimum of like, if you call me today and you needed a tree down or you had one down, you're probably at least going to wait a year and a half by the time it dries and get it, you know, properly dried.
Right.
You know, there are eye-dry vacuums that pull the moisture out fast, and so it speeds things up too. But it's just a long process to do it right.
Right. But, you know, the interesting thing, and when you were talking about it, you know, we've had clients before where a tornado came through and it ripped the tree out of its roots in the backyard. And then they get out there with some friends and they're just cutting it up with chainsaws, and then they're big, huge piles, and they're going to wait to be able to use what was a beautiful tree as firewood because they don't know
That there's options.
that there was a different option for this.
Yep.
You know, and I think that's the biggest thing is that, hey, this is an amazing option. What a great opportunity. You have what could be amazing wood for furniture that, you know, while firewood can get expensive, it's not the same as being able to take this piece and mill it and do something amazing with it.
No, yeah. And once if they're cutting it into 2-foot sections, like at that point, like, unless you have like a chainsaw mill, which I'm not really interested in, you're going to be firewood, or you can cut it into cookies is what it's called, depending on the size. So you're just making little 3-inch slices and turning that into like a little table. But once it gets down, there's nothing, at least nothing I'm going to do about it at that point.
Right.
So, and this process though, it's awesome, but I'm not going to tell you it's cheap. There's a lot of, I'm not the only one you're paying. There's a few guys that, I'm the last guy it goes to, and, eventually, like I said, down the road, I will plan on getting sawmills and things like that. But at the same time, again, if I can help this guy out, he's faster, he's more knowledgeable at it. I'm going to master my craft and give you the best product so he can mill it, because your time is money. So,
yeah. But that's the nice thing is you're able to, if someone goes to your website, they can see, the different products you have, some of the different pricing, like base pricing for some of the different things and such, to be able to say, hey, I want a dining room table, or I want a coffee table. Gives you a little bit of an idea of, hey, is this in the realm of possibility? Because as you said, it's a unique item for a person that's serious about it, that this isn't like going to, I was going to say Art Van, but Art Van doesn't exist anymore. Gardner White or something. You're getting a unique piece, a quality piece that, essentially if you get a dining room table, you and your husband or wife are not moving that, just the two of you. It takes a couple people.
It's going to last for sure.
100%. Yeah.
Well, and what a piece to have passed down from generations, right? Because if there's some kind of history behind the tree that was there and photographs in front of it, like you did with your family, it just is remarkable to have a furniture piece that can continue that path.
Right.
Well, plus too, like, I have younger kids and they're going to beat the crap out of it and everything else. And that scares people, which I understand. But the nice thing about a lot of the solid wood products is, okay, so in 5 years down the road, you want it refinished, it's not that big of a deal. You could call me, we could sand it, set something up, get it sanded, get as much gouges and imperfections out as possible if they're taking hammers to it or whatever. But if you are buying a cheap thin table, it's not going to happen. It's not. Or table, a lot of them's veneered plywood, so it might look like oak, but it's actually plywood with a thin veneer over it, which is very common. So, and that's why they're really cheap.
Right.
Exactly.
But yeah, once those get scratched, there's not much you can do. So.
Right. This is something that's going to last forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love that idea. I love that, even if it's not the sentimental tree, there's a story behind every piece of furniture that you make. And you're able to see that.
Right. And have it forever.
Yep. I love that. Wonderful. Well, I know we've hit on a lot of different things. Is there any aspect of your business or area that we haven't hit on that you want us to talk about?
I would love if it's different for people that help teach marketing and sales. If I'm going to tell you, I'm not just going to sit here and say I have it all figured out, because I don't, but I would love to learn better at marketing and sales.
Please. But it's good because you're great with the woodworking, and that's the most important element, right?
Yep. And what I was going to say of your social media and such, you can tell going into the social media that, one, you're doing a great job in terms of the videos and such. I mean, being able to see behind, pull the curtain behind and see some of the work being done and such. One, you can see that you're the one doing it. It's a handmade, with machine, but it's basically a handmade custom product, right? It's not like if someone out there goes and buys a table from you, you're not going to be building the exact same table 6 months later. It's a unique piece, right? And they're seeing the quality behind that unique piece. So I think that is admirable. And I think in terms of social media, people should check out your Instagram, check out your Facebook. It's great.
Yeah, we'll have it in the show notes.
I appreciate that. I did want to touch base real quick. You mentioned how there's kind of shows the pricing on my website, and I recently did just do that because I've spend a lot of time with people without really understanding their budget, and that's okay. But like, I wasn't educating them properly. So I was like, okay, I need to educate people. So we're not spending hours finding a design, you not knowing your budget. And then I give you a price and you're like, whoa, that's not what I was expecting. So like, if this is something you're interested in, definitely go to capsartistry.com. Look at, check out our photos. We're still slowly building up our portfolio, and look in the, pricing guide. See if it's something you are interested in. If not, well, you can still reach out and maybe I can help you out or direct you somewhere else. Just, it doesn't hurt to make a phone call. So.
Right, exactly. You're a great resource, and I'm so glad that you were able to take the time to come in today.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. Last minute, but we made it work.
That's right. No, thank you so much.
First podcast actually through in a studio. So
well, good for you. Yeah, no, you did a great job. And to everyone out there, please check him out. Check out his Instagram. Check out his website. You can find that in the show notes.
Yeah, definitely. And, on our podcast, please like and subscribe. And on our website, we have our newsletter as well, too. It's exciting to bring these gems of businesses onto the show just to hear and find out more about all these crazy, awesome things that are going on in Livingston County.
Right here in Livingston County, most of the wood's sourced in Livingston County.
Yeah, that's
so that
cool.
is great.
At least the Southeast Michigan, depending on where we're at. Like,
but locally.
Locally.
Yep.
For sure. So
Wonderful.
great. Well, thanks again for coming
All
today.
right. Thank you guys. I appreciate your time.
So thank you so much, and welcome to Livingston.